Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Okay, it's the Leggling again. Okay, these internet connections that I've been getting over the last and these videos have not been very clever. I'm going to carry on with it until the end of this week, and then if it doesn't get any better, then I'm going to have to look at another means of doing these things. And I do apologise in advance. But we'll carry on until the end of the week. So Wednesday today, then, and it's five more records that I'm going to be listening to this evening. Because as you can probably see behind me, the sun has got its hat on today. So it's a beautiful, beautiful day. Okay, so without further ado, then let's get straight on with it. Number one, um, a very controversial album when it came out in 1977, and still remains so, to be perfectly honest. But it's now become a bit of a classic, and quite right too, because it is a great album, although um, it's their only real proper album, and it's the Pistols. Never mind the bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. Fantastic album, really. And it was just Cook and Jones, really, to be perfectly honest, doing all the music, with obviously Johnny Rotten singing his heart out. Very controversial record, and in a lot of ways, um, Virgin Records had a lot of bollocks to take them on because they were very volatile, as we probably all of a certain age were aware. That they started off with EMI, then they moved to Virgin, then they moved to A&M. I think they only lasted a day, something like that, with them, and then Virgin took them on. Full of absolute classics. This album, Anarchy in the UK, God Save the Queen, of course. Uh, it's just chock full of real belters, to be perfectly honest. It's in your face. When you view it all these years later now, okay, it's deemed as punk rock, but really it's quite heavy rock. Really, punk was just very heavy music and fast, of course. You know, there is a couple of tracks that I don't think I would play them now. Um, but they were very controversial and remain so. But this is a great album. It really is a great album, and everybody was waiting for it to come out after the singles that were released leading up to this. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think anybody was really that disappointed with it. I wasn't. I thought it was great, you know. And it's one of these albums that's again, you could put it on now, and it will still shock you in a lot of ways. And there's some great playing on here. Steve Cook, great drummer. Steve Jones, great guitar player. And when they made this album, Sid Vicious couldn't even play. Um, he attempted, but he gave up, and Steve Jones did it all, which is hats off to the guy. So he's the guy that does most of well, all of it actually, the guitar and the bass, and then Steve Cook on drums. Great stuff on it. Great stuff on it. So two songs to recommend to you then. I'm going to have to go with two singles, and it's Anarchy in the UK, and I'll go with EMI. I think that was a B-side, actually. But the rest of the tracks are in your face. If you know, we have got a young audience, possibly, and you've never heard this before, you're in for a shock. You really, really are. This is a shocking album. And, you know, when I'll read some of the tracks, you know, Holidays in the Sun, Bodies is a very controversial track. Liar, God Save the Queen, of course, and Problems, and then you turn the record over, and you've got 17, Anarchy in the UK, I've already mentioned. Submission, Pretty Vacant, great song. New York, and then the last track, EMI. But EMI and Anarchy in the UK, I think. Those are the two that I would go for with this album. So the first one then, never mind the bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols. Great album. Number 2, Chalk and Cheese here. And this, we're moving forward to 1979. And this is a fantastic album. And it's Earth, Wind and Fire. I Am. Great, great album. Look at that. Hopefully you can see it. I know the sun's shining a little bit behind me there. But there they all are. Fantastic album. This is, for those people that don't know the Earth, Wind and Fire, they are a funk, rock, soul ensemble, massive group, massive horn section that went on to work with, believe it or not, just a year later, or 2 years later actually, Phil Collins. And yeah, the certainly their horn section was in demand at the time. This is possibly the most popular album, I Am, that they released. There's, you know, it's one of these albums, a little bit there like the OMD one I showed you yesterday, absolutely chock full. It could all be hits on here. Boogie Wonderland was a massive single from this, and Star was another one. And After the Love Is Gone, which is a great ballad as well. So you've got 3 fantastic singles from this album. They had a great run of albums, a bit like Stevie Wonder in the 70s, where his run was from 71 up to 79, 80, something like that. They were the same. Some great, great albums. Morris White is the chap there. Where is it? That's him there. He's the leader of the band. Unfortunately, no longer with us. Great writer. Lovely, lovely album. Not a particularly long album again, but very enjoyable. Each track just rolls into one another. 2 tracks then to recommend. The first track, In the Storm, is just fabulous. That's a great, great song. And I think I'd go for Rock That, which is a track from the second song. So that's my second choice then. The glorious Earth, Wind and Fire. Number 3, Chalk and Cheese again. This album was released in, when was it? 84, was it? Just have a quick look. If it's going to tell me. Dear me, yes, 84. This was released. This fabulous album. This is the first album from this project, because it's just a project, and it's of This Mortal Coil. The title of the album is called it'll end in tears. This basically is the first of 3 albums that this project released, and it's all artists from 4AD Records, who are still going to this day. That the head of the record label, Ivor Watts Russell, at the time, decided that he wanted to get all his acts that he could from his label to record some of his favourite songs. So this is full of, apart from the instrumental pieces in between each song, covers of great, great songs. This album is notable for Song to the Siren, which on this album is sung by Elizabeth Fravers from the Cocteau Twins, and the music is done by her partner at the time, again from the Cocteaus, Robin Guthrie. An absolute classic song, and it has to be one of my recommendations because it's such a beautiful cover. The song was written by Tim Buckley, so those people that know Jeff Buckley later in the 90s, it's his dad. The original is great, don't get me wrong, it's really, really good. You, Snoopy, sorry about that. But the way that Elizabeth and Robin do this, they make it their own. There's many, many versions of this tune out there. This is really, really good. What a beautiful cover that is. The back as well. And inside. So it's all covers, apart from these instrumental bits in between. The other one to mention is a Roy Harper cover called Another Day, and that is Elizabeth Fraser again singing that one. Beautiful, beautiful song. So what's the music like then? It's very indie rock based, very ambiently chilled album. It's very melancholic, so it's not an album to cheer you up. It's one to sit down with a glass of wine or a beer or whatever your tipple might be, and just sit down and take in this beautiful album. Again, it's one of these albums that each side of music of the record flows into one another, so they're all linked, and it's great. It's a really great album. So to the first one then is, as I've said, is Song to the Siren. The other one that I would say is a lovely song is Dreams Made Flesh, which is sung by Lisa Gerrard, and she's from Dead Can Dance, another great, great singer, actually, with her partner at the time, Brendan Perry, again from Dead Can Dance. It's a great, great song. Really, really nice. But it's all good. Every track's a winner on here as well. So those two then, Song to the Siren and Dreams Made Flesh. Really, really good. Number 2 then, This Mortal Coil, their first album from the project, Little End in Tears. Number 3, one of my favourite singer-songwriters, and we are going a bit dark here. It's a little bit. And this is a fantastic album. Those people of a certain age will know this as well. This is Joan Armatrading. Although it's called Joan Armatrading, it's not her first album. This is her third album, possibly her most well-known. And the lady, as you can see, signed it for me. This album, again, is another one of these albums that's just remembered for one song. And that one song is Love and Affection. How can I not recommend that song? Well, I am going to, because it's such a great, great classic song. Beautiful, beautiful song. But it's much more than that. This album was produced by Glyn Johns, who had worked with a multitude of people, not least the Who. He went on to work with, or still is, he's still going. You know, he's worked with every major act that you could possibly think of. One of the greatest producers in the world. And he came in because this is John's second album on A&M Records. And they brought Glyn Johns in to fill the sound with more sort of oomph in there. Orchestras are included on here as well, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful album. I'm going to name all the songs because they're all great. Down to Zero, Help Yourself, Water with the Wine, Love and Affection, I've already mentioned, and Save Me is the first side of the record. Second side, Join the Boys, People, Somebody Who Loves You, Like Fire, and Tall in the Saddle. So apart from Love and Affection, my other selection for you to go for would be Somebody. It is just absolutely gorgeous. So, what to expect from Joan Emma Trading then? Well, this album is full of influences from all over the world. You know, she was born in St. Kitts in Jamaica, and all that sort of Caribbean, Jamaican influences, not least, you know, her distinctive voice comes through on this album. The playing of the wonderful musicians on here is just amazing. But what you've got as well is a bit of rock, soul, funk, certainly experimental. But it's all about Joan's voice on here. And her phrasing is just fabulous, you know. And for a black woman in the 70s, this came out in 1977, I think, same as the Pistols. Let's have a look. Let me just check for you. I should know this. Is it telling me what year this came out? 76, actually, a year before. Sorry, apologies for that. No black woman was doing music like this. Nobody. So this is, you know, a very individual record, and for a black woman to sing rock music and music that's as diverse what's on this album is very unusual at the time. This was a huge success, and she went on and still is recording CBE now. Joan is quite right too. She's a national treasure. So the two songs then, Love and Affection, everybody knows that one of a certain age. For the younger audience that perhaps don't know this lady, you can't go wrong with that song. And the other one is Somebody Who Loves You. Beautiful, beautiful song. So that's my number, what are we on? Number 4, Joan Emma Trading. My last one then is, I just love this record so much. This was a record that absolutely blew my head off in 1973 when I first heard this album. This is from 1973, so forgive me, it is a bit battered. It's an album that's followed me around the world in my travels, and it's never too far away, and I always play it. I have got the CD version of this thing, but there's nothing like sticking this on vinyl. And this is the glorious The Who Quadrofinger. And I'm not overstating when I say this is probably one of the best rock double albums ever made. It is just so brilliant, this album. The package alone, you've got this massive book inside here. See that? And because it's so old, this thing, the book's fallen off. So I'll show you some of the pages of the thing. And it's the book is telling you the story about Jimmy. I won't show you it all because I don't want to spend too much time on it. But those people that know the Who's first big album was Tommy, a rock opera. Well, this carries on that sort of storyline. So you've got a story with the album. It's a double. It's all about Jimmy trying to find his way in life. There he is, Brighton Beach there. There's his mate. He's supposed to be really cool, but he's not actually. There's Jimmy sort of sleeping on the beach there. There's Jimmy at the end. And there he is coming out of the sea. This album is just a masterpiece, a little bit like Inner Visions. And ironically, it's the same year, 1973. This album came out. So it's a rock opera. People like to call it that, but no, I don't think it's that at all. It's just a great double album. It's one of these albums where you put the first side on and you've just got to keep going. You just got to keep playing. The big single from here was a thing called 515. That's a fantastic tune. This is a straight ahead rock album. It's a rock and roll album. However, what Pete Townsend, the main writer and singer and guitar player in the group, does with this, he brings in sound effects. He brings in an orchestra. He's dabbling with his synthesizers on here as well, where he started that with a previous album, Who's Next? And he continues it with this. So it's telling you a story with great playing from the band. This is, in my opinion, their best album. But with all these different effects coming in, which enhances the music. So it's a double album then, so you're talking 80 minutes of music. So which two would I pick for you? It's very, very difficult, believe me. It's very, very difficult, this. I think I'd have to go with the last track on the first side, and that's The Punk and the Godfather. And then, oh dear, really is difficult. Really is difficult. And I think I'm going to go with I've Had Enough, which is the last track on the second side of the album. That, believe me, is not to take away the rest of the music. And I'll read all the tracks. It starts with I Am the Sea, which is an introduction to the album, The Real Meal, Quadrophenia, Cut My Hair, The Punk and the Godfather, I've already mentioned. Side 2 then starts with I'm One, The Dirty Jobs, Helpless Dancer, Is It In My Head, another great song. I've Had Enough. That's the first album. The second album starts with this monster single, 515. And then it goes to Sea and Sand, Drowned, and Bellboy. The final side is Dr. Jimmy, The Rock, and the Glorious, Love Rain Over Me. It is just fabulous. Absolutely fabulous album. This represents the Who and what the Who are all about. Great playing, very emotional songs. Roger Daltrey's voice is just absolutely amazing on this album. Pete's guitar playing, well, He's just such a great musician. The bass playing from the Ox or John Entwistle, R.I.P. The drumming from Keith Moon is just out of this world. It's just like those people that remember the Muppets from the TV show in the 70s. It's just like that. He's just completely off the scale. R.I.P. again. So there's just two of them left. It's just Pete and Roger left from the four of them. And this represents what they are about. Quadrophenia. So there's my final selection for today. I do hope that you can see me okay, and that the internet connection is not too mad. But as I said, I'll give it until the end of the week, and if it doesn't improve, I'm going to have to get my children to come up with an alternate way of me carrying on what I'm doing for you. Okay. Good. Okay. Have a fantastic day. It is glorious out there. You can see the sun bursting out behind me there. So I've just come back with a Snoop and he's just on the sofa there. Yeah, you are having a kip. I'm going to go out again. It's glorious. My wife's just out with the other dog at the moment. Beautiful, beautiful weather. So I ain't going to sit indoors. So the records that I've just shown you, I will be playing later this evening. I'm very much looking forward to listening to them. I am too. Good. Have a glorious day then, and take care, everybody. Happy listening, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.